Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Gul MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio, and we are awaiting some other people to come in, including someone who we have not seen in a very long time. Welcome back, Dee Dee Woodson, back to the Cerebral Smack Talk. Guys, you already know the deal. You know how we break it down. Smackdown Live. Now, normally we do AEW Rampage. However, due to the fact that the Rampage has been bumped due to the continuation of the NCAA tournament, we will not have it for possibly the next 3 weeks at least. This week, we're not going to do it. Next week, we will not be able to do it. And we will definitely not be doing it the week after because that's WrestleMania. So you're not going to get it for at least the next month. I hope you don't mind it. I hope you can understand. However, what we do have is we do have SmackDown Live, and the road to WrestleMania continues here tonight. So with that said, we got that. And then we are going to bring in TXN Sports World because tonight, well, we promised you guys that we're going to talk about the remaining first round matches of the NCAA tournament, and boy, do we need to talk. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But until then, let's kick it off with Cerebral Smack Talk with SmackDown Live, per the usual. Tonight, we were at the, I think this is in
Kansas City.
KC. Used to be known as the Kemper Arena.
No, not the Kemper Arena. Completely different building. It's the T-Mobile Center.
So this isn't the one in This isn't the old Kemper Arena.
No,
they tore it down.
I don't know if they tore it down. I'll look into that, but no, sir. This I'm surprised you didn't know that. They've been every time WWE goes to Kansas City nowadays for the last several years, they've done it in that building. It was the Sprint Center. Now it's the T-Mobile Center.
I would have thought it was the old.
That's where the Big 12 tournament was just last week.
All right. Well, again, that's news to me because I have always remember it being at Kemper Arena. Anytime it was in Kansas City, it was in Kemper. So that's why I'm kind of a little suspect about it more than anything else. But then again, who knows? So anyway, let's dive right in. We're going to jump it off, guys. So started it off, well, with Cody Rhodes. Yeah, cutting a promo, talking about the WrestleMania thing. Then had Kevin Owens, had Sami Zayn, and well, let's just say it started everything. So Cody Rhodes had a meeting of the minds, as they like to say. Basically, let's air it out. The dirty laundry, the issues you boys had, let's air it out right now. Let's have it. Powwow, us three. Let's try to get here together because we got one goal and one goal only. Destroy the bloodline at WrestleMania. Well, I must say, this was very effective. This was very strong. And this was absolutely perfect of a segment. I loved it. This was excellent. This was solid. It was everything it needed it to be. Now, you're starting to see everything come together. And now, more than ever, I truly believe, we were talking about us. When are we going to get the moment? When are we going to get the moment? When were we going to get the moment? I wish it would have happened in Providence. They decided to do it in Kansas City. Fine. We'll live with that. But whatever the case may be, Anthony Florio, oh my goodness. What a moment. I mean, what a way to start it off. What a way to start off SmackDown here tonight.
Unannounced appearance. Well, they did announce it, but it was a little before the show that Cody Rhodes was going to be on the show, and if he's going to be, and if he's going to dethrone the Tribal Chief, which we think he's going to do at WrestleMania, we got to get used to having him on both shows, do we not? So definitely got to start getting used to seeing him on both Raw and SmackDown for the foreseeable future, which is most certainly a good thing, not a bad thing at all. As far as the Kemper Arena goes, MF, it is still up. It's now known as the Hy-Vee Arena, HY-VEE Arena, and it is still up. But when WWE comes to Kansas City nowadays, and for the last decade or so, they've done it at that new venue known as the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. And yes, I do remember those Kemper Arena shows just as much as you do. A lot of history. And unfortunately, the darkest moment in professional wrestling history took place in that very venue. You know where I'm going with that. Anywho, getting to this, this was another excellent bit of storytelling, as Kevin Owens has had his feelings hurt, but more importantly, is clearly seeking to rekindle his friendship with Sami Zayn. Something that Sami has repeatedly suggested may not be in the cards, stating we don't have to be friends to take down the bloodline. It feels like a lack of communication between the two and what their real feelings are, something the audience can invest in because it permeates their everyday lives. Miscommunication is something that has ruined relationships, ended friendships, and left many asking what if, as is the case here. Add in stubbornness on both men's part, and you have a friendship that it's going to take work to repair. Work that began after the commercial break when Sami approached KO backstage and told him they are friends and that he loves him, to which a visibly affected KO responded by driving away from the arena, but not before repeatedly looking over his shoulder at his buddy there. A lot to take away from this. Cody, he said, I do want to point out that I have the utmost respect for my opponent, Roman Reigns. And then Rhodes calling out KO, and then Sami looking to play mediator and peacemaker between the two friends. And Cody said, I have an incredible love and respect for you, Kevin Owens, before explaining KO's role in bettering his livelihood after Cody left WWE in 2016. And Sami implored KO, if there is something you need to get off your chest, tell it to me. And then Cody said, every single one of these people wants to see you guys back on the same page. And Sami told KO, we can be the ones that bring down the ones. And then he also said, we don't even have to do this as friends. We just need to do this together. And then KO said, why would I fight for someone who doesn't even want to be my friend? Cody, thank you for putting this together, but I'm all set. Yeah, very powerful stuff to start the show tonight. And there was definitely more than this that met the eye. And I'll be honest with you, I smelled a rat, but in a good way. Because MF, you know this better than anybody. I ain't no Johnny come lately on the block. I've seen this thing from start to finish. So, and we'll get more into that later on, because Sami Zayn had a big confrontation with Jey Uso. With another Shakespearean drama ending, to say the least. A Shakespearean drama ending, yes, MF, that I wish UNIA and Bullock could have gotten in Providence, but on Monday night, but unfortunately they saved it here. But then again, Kansas City is the home of the Super Bowl champions, so they obviously wanted to give them a big moment as well. So I could certainly understand that. So there isn't much more for me left to say on this. So it is my pleasure to welcome back the First Lady of the rest of Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel, Didi Woodson. Didi, it is great to have you back, and what a way to start this show off with the best storyline going in WWE today, thanks to Papa H and his long-term storytelling and booking.
Yes, it is. I'm going to keep this kind of short and sweet because I am so out of practice for this because it's been so long. But I will let you know, Florio, Mondays and Fridays maybe permanent with me be back on for a while. So that'll pick things up a little bit. And yeah, I gave Fletch a heads up on that earlier today. So told them to keep it secret until the show started. So good job, Fletch. Anyway, in-ring segment, a great storyline progression. Loved how it went. It was a very good segment. Building all this for both ends with the Bloodline and with Sami Zayn, just working really well together. Really building up, this what could end up being, I'm thinking, leading to a match, but we'll talk about that later. So, not much more I'm going to add. Fletch, I'm going to toss it back to you.
All right. With that said, we do indeed now move on to the first thing that we had here tonight, and that was we had a match, and it was, hold on, folks. Here we go. All right, here we go. So, first thing that we had officially on the fight card was the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley going up against members of Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, and Zelina Vega. Mixed tag fight. It was Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio winning the match in 7 minutes and 22 seconds. And then after that, it's a 2-for-1 because then Ray made his way out and Dom and Ray cut in another promo, going for that, waiting for that hoping for another father versus son at WrestleMania. Unfortunately, Ray once again says no, it's not happening. They're not. He's not gonna do it. So unfortunately, that means this match is not happening at WrestleMania. But something else might happen at WrestleMania, and we'll elaborate on that a little bit later on. So Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Yes, 2.5 to 2 3/4 of a star for the effort. Zelina Vega in particular was great as she raced around the ring using her speed advantage and flying ability to keep her opponents off guard. It was the last move, though, the Tornado DDT on Dominic and the Hurricanrana on Dominic, that spelled her downfall as Rhea Ripley took advantage of the momentary distraction and delivered Riptide for the win. It was a harder fought victory that saw the Judgment Day go over on their road to WrestleMania, but also really put Legado del Fantasma over as a threat on Friday nights. Zelina Vega looked great, had the fans on her side as she battled the bigger Ripley, and the teases of an upset were fantastic. It was a strong enough performance that those in power should consider giving the former Queen of the Ring more in-ring opportunities. Escobar and Vega rolled into the commercial, the latter delivering a big moonsault that wiped Ripley out on the floor. That had MF yelling out, "Look at this." And Rhea sold the hell out of that Tornado DDT by Zelina. And then Dominic generated great heat by breaking up a pinfall attempt by Zelina Vega. Ripley obliterated Vega with a nasty Riptide. And Michael Cole, we all know how much he cannot stand Dominic. He said, great, he's got a mic. His weekly disgust for Dominic becoming more apparent and hilarious with every passing week. And then as far as the post-match goes, great in-ring promo segment from these two. Maybe the best of their build to WrestleMania so far. I mean, I thought the one we had in Providence the other night was great. I think this was actually a smidgen better. We finally saw the emotion out of the new Hall of Famer. A hint that his son is pushing him closer and closer to the match he is so desperately trying to avoid. We will eventually get there, and the pop for that announcement will be enormous. For now, this is a story that feels as though it still has another segment or two in it before we get to the end game and can officially look toward the anticipated showdown. Ray saying, I made sacrifices so you, your mom, and your sister could have the life I could only dream of. And then he said, what happened when you got in trouble? Oh, yeah, the Mysterio name would bail you out. And then Ray said, I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame. This hurts. It really hurts. I would love nothing more than to have you standing by my side on that stage. And then You Deserve It chants broke out there. He said, my biggest regret is what you've become. If someone like you, a punk-ass kid, called me out at WrestleMania, I would gladly beat their ass. Unfortunately, you're my son, and fighting you would be the greatest disgrace as a father. He says, I'm not going to fight you now, I'm not going to fight you ever, and I'm not going to fight you at WrestleMania. Wow. That's another fantastic segment right there. The opening segment was good. This was great as well. And wow. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say except 2.5, 2 3/4 for the match. But as far as the post match goes, I thought that was a smidgen better. And this particular promo, MF, as great as the one we had Monday night in Providence, I actually thought this was better. So that's just how I feel about it. A smidgen better, keyword, and that's because of the emotion of Ray. So not much more for me to add on to this. Edie Woodson, I mean, once again, theme of the night so far, Triple H. We all know him and his creative team. They're known for that long-term storytelling and booking, and never more evident than with this angle with Ray and Dominic. The end game's coming, but we just got to wait a little longer.
Yeah, that we do. We do have to wait a little longer for whatever the payoff's going to be with Ray and Dom. The match, yeah, I can agree with the rating. It was definitely good momentum for Rhea winning the match, leading into, us building for WrestleMania and her having, all this going on with Charlotte. But, yeah, I think the segment definitely topped the match. Definitely one of Ray's best speeches in the segment. So yeah, not much more I'm going to add. It's your select.
All right, and with that said, we do indeed move on. Right after all of this, the next thing that we did have on the show. Let me see. So after that, we had was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going up against Tegan Nox and Emma. And the winners of the bout in 3 minutes and 43 seconds was Raquel Rodriguez it is Raquel Gonzalez and Liv Morgan. But there is something that was added to this that we did not know about. That because of this win, that Raquel and Liv now gets to go to WrestleMania, and there's going to be a fatal four-way tag team match at WrestleMania. So they just qualified for one of the 4 spots. Now, there wasn't much talked about this, so Dee Woodson, it's yours. So Liv Morgan and Raquel now has punched their ticket for WrestleMania.
That they have. And this being like a last-minute addition, I mean, this is quite something big to add on to WrestleMania. The match itself, it was really kind of short. Seemed a little bit more like a squash because of, Raquel. Crowd wasn't really much into it. But I think what this led into was bigger than the match itself, with the announcement that, this was going to be a fatal 4-way tag team match. So yeah, with it being so short, I really don't have a rating for it, but I will say that it was still good, because now we have a new match that we're building in these last couple of weeks. for WrestleMania. So not much more I'm going to add. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, this kind of thing comes out of right field. This is kind of like out of the Vince McMahon playbook where something just gets thrown literally last second with very little build. But 2 weeks left before WrestleMania, and this is happening. A fatal four-way and it looks like it is for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. So now the question is, how's that going to look? Is it just contenders for night one and then maybe the title fight in night two? Or is this just one shot? We're getting it, titles on the line at Mania. So I don't know, but I will say this. Having Liv Morgan and Raquel at WrestleMania? Oh, yes, please. Thank you very much. These two women deserves to be on the grand stage of them all. They deserve to be at WrestleMania. So their body of work, what they've been doing all year long, absolutely they deserve to be a part of WrestleMania. So I really got nothing more to say on that. Yeah, it's like maybe 1.5 stars. But Anthony Florio, I mean, if there's two women who are more deserving of being at WrestleMania, being in SoFi, I don't think you can find any two better than Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan.
Absolutely. I don't think that match is going to be for the titles. They're calling it a WrestleMania showcase match, I guess. And I also agree with you, MF, in the sense that I kind of feel like this is a McMagma move. You always know what McMagma was known for when it came to WrestleMania. Get everybody on, get as many people on the card as possible. Get everybody on the card, almost. And that's exactly what they're doing here. It's not just for the women. They're gonna be doing this for the men as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of qualifying matches over the next couple of weeks on not just SmackDown, but I'm sure on Raw as well. I'm sure it's going to be, mixed. I'm sure with 4 teams, they're probably going to want to do 2 from Raw and 2 from SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they do it. But anyways, let's break this down. Wade Barrett, prior to the match, Wade Barrett announced the 2 WrestleMania showcase matches, 1 men and 1 women. One with qualifiers beginning tonight. And on paper, the winner appeared obvious, and it played out that way in execution as well. Morgan and Rodriguez overcame a solid effort by Emma and Tegan Nox to secure the win. This would have meant substantially more had Emma or Nox been presented as threats in the women's division at all prior to the bout. They were outmatched from a star power perspective, and the fans in attendance hardly believed they would score the upset win. That is an issue that faces so many of these qualifying matches that are meant to be high stakes, but are ultimately more predictable than not thanks to booking trends. Expect more of the same as WWE fills the 3 remaining women's spots and all 4 men's in the coming weeks or so. On a positive note, though, props to Liv Morgan, who worked her ass off to get better, become champion, and one of the most popular stars in the division, and now has a well-earned spot on the WrestleMania card. Same can be said for Raquel Rodriguez as well. And Wade Barrett said on commentary when it comes to Tegan Nox, she's been written off several times, but she never wrote back, putting her and her many trials and tribulations over in a way that WWE creative as not to this point in their comeback. And Rodriguez powered out of a tilt-a-whirl and delivered the Tejada bomb. 1.5. I agree with the rating for this. But the right team did win here. Liv and Raquel both are deserving of the moment. And now we'll wait and see who joins them in this WrestleMania showcase match. Will it be on the main card? It could. Maybe this could even be on the pre-show. That's very possible. So I wouldn't rule that option out. So 1.5. Not much more left to say. So yes, MF, Liv and Raquel both deserving of the moment, and they deserve their spot at Mania. So move on.
All right, and next thing we had was a promo by Charlotte Flair, interrupted by Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio, and then we had a fight. Brawl breaks out. Here we go. It happened. We had the referees pull away, break up, fight, and we had our boys. We had some of the guards out there. It was going nuts. I'm gonna say it. Finally, WrestleMania has come to the women's division. We were hoping for it. We were waiting on it. They finally did it, and they did it perfectly. This was exactly what it needed it to be. I'm excited for Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley now. They finally paid it off. We were waiting for weeks for this thing to blow off, and it did. It exploded. So absolutely, the right thing had to be done. They did it. It was necessary. It was awesome. Anthony Florio, it is all yours, my friend. We've been waiting for weeks, waiting a long time for this thing to explode. Well, the powder keg, the fuse was lit, and kaboom!
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. A rivalry that has been waged primarily on the mic turned physical tonight as Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley threw down in a chaotic brawl that could not be contained. The promo material was more of the same, with Rhea vowing to not only take the Queen's title, but strike fear in her too. Dominic talked trash. Ripley dealt a cheap shot to her opponent, and the fight was on. This feud needed this brawl. The match is going to be great, but from a creative standpoint, it felt way colder than it should have, given the participants. Much like the Raw Women's title match between Bianca Belair and Asuka, the match felt like it merely existed rather than being a legitimate main event worthy bout. This was a step in the right direction, and with 2 weeks of television left, there is still plenty of time for Charlotte and Rhea Ripley to pull the story up to their level. And Charlotte said the more things change, the more they stay the same. And also said, when I was a kid, wrestling was built on Rhodes as a challenger and Flair as a champion, the Queen said, pointing out the similarities between now and then. And Ripley said, I am dangerous, I am bloody good at what I do, and everyone fears me, except for you. You're staring me down without a hint of fear in your eyes, and to be quite frank with you, that pisses me off. And she also said, after WrestleMania, you're going to learn to call me champion, and you're going to learn to fear me. And then Rhea leveled Charlotte with a cheap shot, brawl ensued, spilling to the floor. Before agents and the Gestapo security guards attempted to break it up, they failed. And you noticed a couple of those agents. So one of them was former TNA X Division champion Petey Williams, and the other was Kenny Dykstra, formerly of the Spirit Squad. Yeah, that Kenny Dykstra. That was him, along with Petey Williams and those Gestapo security guards and the referees, doing their best. And yeah, finally, they did something to get our excitement level for this match up. It's a start. It still needs a little more, but it definitely was a start and a step in the right direction here. So, not much more for me to add on this. Dee Woodson, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley. It's been a nice up until tonight. It was a nice cold build, but tonight they finally lit the powder keg and it finally exploded, and finally a step in the right direction to start raising our excitement levels for this match.
Yeah, it definitely has lit the fire and started the heat. So now it's time for the next 2 weeks to let this simmer and let this boil and just keep moving in the right direction to keep everybody's interest peaked. And we all know there's a history between these two, and they've definitely dialed that up another notch in this build up. So, I think this is going to be an awesome feud that we're starting here, and after tonight, you definitely you can definitely see this one, possibly coming in as one of the main events for the night at WrestleMania. So not much more I have to add. It's yours, Fletch.
All right. With that said, the next thing we had is unfortunately a throwaway fight as it was Xavier Woods versus LA Knight. Xavier Woods winning the match in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. We're just going to let that one be. Then we had ourselves the big one. Here we go. Well, then there was a backstage thing. LA Knight basically getting into Rey Mysterio. And then that's going to lead to a fight next week between LA Knight and Rey Mysterio. They're going to go one-on-one. And then we had the big one. The match to determine the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, as it was Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. The fight gets thrown out in 11 minutes and 39 seconds. Imperium hits and attacks. Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci jumps both men, and then Gunther comes out and jumps at both guys, basically laying them both out. Adam Pearce was like, nah, that is not going to happen. No. You left me with no choice on this one. We are going to do a triple threat at WrestleMania. Gunther puts the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line against both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Guys, we got it. It finally happened. We got there. We were waiting to see how it was going to play out. We got there. We finally did it. Who leads off on this? I believe it.
That would be me, MF.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Now, debate. We could call it NA, and I don't think we would have any problem with it. I don't think we're going to have too much of a tassel if we call it NA, but maybe this is worthy of a rating. So, Florio, you make the call on it.
And it's only fitting you start this off with me, MF, because you know, and it's been well documented on our shows, and I'm sure, I don't know if Didi knows this as well, but MF, you know this better than anybody. You know how I feel about the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I love it so much, I have my own replica belt that I have shown off on this show many of times before. So, but anyways, okay. The match, you could give it an NA if you wanted to, but it was the fight of the night. I don't care if it's an NA or not. This was the fight of the night. 3.25 stars for it, if I were to put a rating on it. With an opportunity to challenge Gunther for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania at stake, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus rekindled their 2-decade-plus rivalry in the in-ring main event of tonight's show. The typically strong, hard-hitting matchup was as advertised, with both former WWE champions pummeling each other before sprinting across the ring with their trademark finishers. Sheamus went for a bro kick, McIntyre countered with a claymore, and the result was almost a double count out. It looked like they were going to be counted out because it looks like neither man was going to get up. But then Gunther and the boys jumped him. And he distracted the referee Jason Ayers, and then after a few cheap shots, he got one. And then Adam Pearce made it official at WrestleMania, triple threat for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. It was an outcome we all knew was coming, and by no stretch of the imagination needed to include this match. Was it good? Yes, but the outcome could have been achieved with last week's tie and saved all of us this match. Sometimes matches do not need to exist solely for the sake of existing, and this was certainly one of those cases. Just make the match last week and move forward. At least the match in question was another banger. Gunther scolded Wade Barrett for asking him unprepared questions on commentary. McIntyre and Sheamus attempted the Claymore and Bro Kick at the same time, wiping each other out. And then a frustrated Gunther entered the ring and demanded answers, only for Adam Pearce to announce that at WrestleMania, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship will be defended. Gunther will defend against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match. Let's go. I mean, oh, man. It's been a long time since we've seen an exciting Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship match at a WrestleMania. it's been far too long since we've seen the last really exciting one I can remember. Ironically, was a triple threat match. That was at 34 with when Seth Rollins won the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship against The Miz and Finn Balor, and they had a banger of a triple threat to start that show. I believe this triple threat is going to be better than that one. I think this has match of the year possibilities, show stealer possibilities, and will rank up there as one of the greatest Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship matches of all time. For the last 36 years, there's one match, there's one Intercontinental Championship match that has been praised as the greatest of all time. And that's Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. Of course, right behind that, the ladder match with Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10 in Madison Square Garden. And those were the two greatest. I mean, we've had a few others here and there. You know, we had those ladder matches at 31 and 32 with Daniel Bryan and Zack Ryder winning those respectively. And the last truly good one was 34. I mean, you can make an argument for 37, you know, when it was Apollo Crews, when Apollo Crews beat Big E with help from Dabba-Kato, Commander Aziz, or whatever. But this one could be the one that could surpass 3 and 10 as far as greatest Intercontinental Championship matches at WrestleMania go. Savage and Steamboat, Razor and HBK, those were the two standard bearers. So, of course, two others that come to mind, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Bret the Hitman Hart, WrestleMania 8. That's also in the conversation. And, of course, another one we can't forget about, even though it had a clunky finish, Shawn Michaels and Tatanka at WrestleMania 9, one of the very few bright spots of WrestleMania 9. But point is, we've had a few here and there Intercontinental matches at WrestleMania that were truly memorable. Those were the ones that I remember the most. Those were the ones that, you know, were personal favorites of mine. And as an avid supporter of the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship belt, and a belt that for many years was a walking punchline. It was treated like a joke for many years. But ever since they put that title on Gunther has made that belt feel prestigious again. Papa H and his creative team have made that belt feel prestigious. And as an Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship belt supporter, it makes me very happy to see that. I mean, I have waited a long time for this. Not just me. We all have waited. But no one's wanted that more than I had. Nobody more than me. I wanted that more than anything. And I'm so damn happy that that belt is finally meaning something again. And I believe this match at WrestleMania is going to rank up there with Savage and Steamboat, with Razor and HBK, with Rowdy Roddy and the Hitman, and so many other memorable ones. This could have the potential to perhaps be the greatest. You never know. We know the body of work of these three. MF. Oh, MF. All I can say is you got yourself a show stealer, man. That's all I'm going to say. So get us to SoFi now. I can't wait to see this. This is going to, we may as well have to call those LAPDs, because these three boys are going to steal the dang show whatever night it's on. So as if this WrestleMania couldn't get any bigger or better, it just did. So you may not like the way we got to it, but who cares? We got the payoff that we wanted. So there isn't much more for me to say. Didi Woodson. Oh, man. Gunther, Sheamus, McIntyre, triple threat for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. This could rank up there with Savage and Steamboat and Razor and HBK, among others.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be one of the biggest matches of the night. You know, it's going to be the show stealer. It's going to be, you know, one of the Be a Man fights, definitely, because you've got three big powerhouses going at it. So, yeah, it's going to be definitely worth your while to check it out. The promo awesome, well done. There's not much more I can say about it. It was just really well done. It was good to see. Um, um, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'll toss it to Fletch. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
That's okay, Dee. That's okay. Probably some first night jitters. You'll get back into this. It's like riding a bike. You just gotta try to get used to it. Final thing we had was a promo segment. It was everything. So we had the Usos, we had Sami Zayn, we had Kevin Owens, and yeah, it happened, guys. Sami and Kevin reuniting, much to the delight and a very emotional Cody Rhodes watching it from the back. What a way to close it! What a way to end it. Dee, I'll give it to you. We wanted it, we got it. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn reuniting. Now they can focus on possibly becoming the next tag team champions at WrestleMania.
There he is.
Yeah, definitely. It was very good to see them reunite, especially after the beginning segment, and then Kevin Owens driving off without saying a word. So yeah, that was a very, it was a very well done segment there at the end. You almost knew Jimmy was going to come out, and you could see, that Jay was torn between what Sammy was saying and family, but of course, blood is thicker, so he's sticking with his family, which I think most of us probably would in that situation. You would rather be with your family than going against them. But yeah, it was just what we were all wanting, was to see Kevin Owens back together with Sami Zayn, and the two of them teaming up, and that smile on Cody's face there at the end when he's watching on that monitor. You knew, he was proud of both of them for putting their differences behind each other and getting back on the same page. And yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, I can see this possibly turning into a tag team match. And who knows, maybe these two will be the ones that will finally knock the Usos off of the top of the tag team, the tag team pyramid that we've got going here. So not much more I'm going to add. So it's yours, Fletch.
One of the strongest elements that they have ever had to do lately, and this was as good as this could have gotten. Storyline wise, they couldn't have done any better. They really, really, really emphasized on everything. So for me, this was a home run. This was the best segment of the night. And you can even say one of the best segments of 2023, at least when it comes to WWE. They really brought it home on this one. So segment of the night for me. Nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Oh, how you and I wish we could have gotten this in Providence. Oh my God.
I know. Tell me about it, man. That place in KC blew, but imagine if it was in Providence. That crowd would have gone bonkers.
Oh. To the point where you could simply say the word bonkers like that. So but anyways, it was a magical moment that the fans in attendance reacted to accordingly. The best story in recent WWE history, writing another satisfying chapter as Cody Rhodes watched from the locker room, a smile a mile wide on his face like a kid at Christmas time. This was extraordinary professional wrestling storytelling, and the match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos at WrestleMania for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships absolutely should be the main event The story is there. The in-ring will be as well. And the crowd at SoFi will be molten hot. Resist the urge to put something else ahead of it on the card, WWE, because nothing will top it. Nothing. All right. Jey Uso said, from day one, I didn't trust you. I didn't want you around my family at all. Then week by week, they started to like you. He said, as a boy, I thought it was my job to protect my family. You are what I always thought you were, a fake-ass oos. And then Sammy said, you choose to take Roman Reigns' abuse over and over again. It was your choice. He said, you're not mad that I hit Roman Reigns with that steel chair at the Royal Rumble. You're just mad that you didn't get to do it first. And then he said, you always have a choice. And then KO popped up behind the Usos, proceeded to whoop that ass, clearing them from the ring before embracing Sammy in a phenomenal moment that left the crowd in Kansas City, that gave them a big pop. And then the minute they did it, MF, perfect commentary moment for you. I simply had you do yes, yes, yes on that. And that's all you needed to do to sell that. Just like when you did the infamous Sammy at the Royal Rumble when Sammy hit Roman with the chair. You sold that perfectly with that. Tonight, all you did was that yes, 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 and that was it. So, perfect selling. So there isn't much more for me to say. Segment of the night. And it capped off another very exciting and newsworthy edition of SmackDown. And Kansas City cherished that. You got yourself a hell of a memory. You're taking home a hell of a memory tonight. Even though we here in Providence wish it could have been us, but then again, MF, at least we got the Hell in a Cell announcement, so I guess that evens it out. So, but anyways, unbelievable moment, great moment, and it's not official yet, but as early as next week, very likely it will be official. It could be Monday night on Raw, it could be next Friday on SmackDown. I don't know, but one of those nights, it will be official. It will be the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the undisputed tag team championship at WrestleMania. And Dede Woodson, I 100% agree with you. We've been going on about this for several weeks, and I know we're going to sound like a broken record, but 100% agree. I do believe it will be Sami and KO who take the belts off the Usos. And when they do so at Mania, that retractable roof, or that whatever that roof is at SoFi, going to come square off. That's all there is to say. So not much more. MF, let's get to our overall review.
All right. And I do believe it leads off. I guess I lead off on this. So, yeah, I'd probably say 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really good show. There was only maybe one bad match the whole time. But all in all, I thought it was a good show. So I thought SmackDown did really well here. So, yeah. I'll say about 7.5. I'll even go 8, probably 8. You could make an argument for 8.5, but I'll go 7.5 to 8. So yeah, Anthony, I give it to you.
Right the first time, MF. 7.5 to 8 is the correct rating for this. We had so many good in-ring segments. I mean, the in-ring segments, that was the difference maker tonight, not the matches. The in-ring segments. I mean, all of them were really well done, including Charlotte and Rhea, mainly because of that wild and crazy brawl they had. But it was all about Sammy and KO and the Usos, and the Sammy and Kevin reunion. That did it. And from start to finish. And then Sheamus and Drew with another banger, even though it ended in a clunky finish. But at least we got the big payoff from that. And solid mixed tag. And one match that was just for me, that women's tag match. The LA Knight and Xavier, that was about that you could call for a dud on that one if you wanted to, but no, 7.5 to 8 for this one. Newsworthy show. Another banger, another WrestleMania banger with the one that we all wanted and heard about. Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, which has the potential to be the best IC title match in recent WrestleMania history. And then, of course, the epic reunion of Sammy and Kevin, and And eventually that match will be made official, maybe Monday on Raw or next week on SmackDown, depending on how they want to do it. But next week, you best believe that match will get made official, that big one. And we'll see what happens with the Mysterio saga and everything else when we get to Raw Monday night in St. Louis. So not much more for me to say. 7.5 to 8. Dee Dee Woodson taking home.
Yeah, I can pretty much agree. 7.5 to 8. Yeah, it had its high moments, it had its low moments, but in the end, SmackDown delivered. It gave you what you wanted. It definitely was very much of a storyline progression show, as it usually is. And even backstage segments covered a lot of the progression as it went along. So yeah, I mean, don't really have anything super negative to say about it. Yeah, the ladies tag match kind of low, but you got to pay off from it for having the WrestleMania announcement for it. Yeah, Xavier and LA Knight was low. Why we're squashing LA Knight all of a sudden, I don't know, but hey, it is what it is. It was good showing for Woods. So yeah, I mean, it was a good night. So not much more I'm gonna say. It's yours, Fletch.
All right, Dee Dee, thank you so much. And because now we're gonna shift gears and we're gonna talk into the NCAA tournament. So with that said, we will move on to that right now. What we had here was first round competition going down earlier today. So here are some of the scores that went down. We started off with Michigan State going up against USC, the USC Trojans. Michigan State winning the game 72-62 over USC and advancing to the second round of the tournament. Then we had Kashina State, the darlings that everybody was very excited for versus Xavier. Xavier were in trouble. They had a scare. There was a possible 14-3 upset, possibly in the pipeline. Not meant to be. Xavier holds on and knocks him out by the final score of 72-67. Anthony, you want to talk about near misses, man?
Yes, that was my game. That was my game.
Go ahead, Anthony. Talk a little bit about it.
What I was gonna do, I didn't want to fully get into it, but what I was gonna tell you was I just simply wanted to tell you that when it comes to this game, Xavier closed the game on a 24-6 run after Kennesaw State had them down 61-48 in the second half. Had a 13-point lead on these guys, and it looked like they were going to pull it out, but no, Xavier. They fought, and they closed the game on a 24-6 run. A little controversy at the end. Maybe there was a foul that should have been called, but it wasn't. But nonetheless, Xavier escapes and represented the Big East as only they could, and the runners-up of the Big East tournament to Marquette, and they barely survived. So big win for them, and they now move on to the second round on Sunday, and they will meet the winner of the Pittsburgh-Iowa State game. MF will get into that in just a moment, but I just wanted to let you know, MF, big comeback by Xavier, down 61-48 in the second half, and closed the game on a 24-6 stretch. Big win.
Big win indeed, and they do indeed move on to the next round of the tournament. And then just to continue on, we had number 3 Baylor won their game over University of California, Santa Barbara, but they crushed them. 74-56 was the final score in that one. They advanced to the next round. And then later on, we had was St. Mary's. Some people thought maybe 12-5 upset here. Nope, not today. St. Mary's takes out VCU Final score 63-51. So St. Mary's now advances to round number 2 of the NCAA tournament. Then we also had right after that, we had Marquette, the winners of the Big East tournament and the regular season champions. The number 2 seed had no problem with the Catamounts of Vermont winning their game 78-61. They knock them out. And then you can say this, we had an upset. First upset of the day, the number 11 Pitt Panthers had to go through the playing game, the first 4 game. They won that to get a shot at Iowa State, and they move on to round 2, putting them away, winning this one 59-41. So, Anthony, I believe that you,
Another one. This is my second game of the day.
This is your second game of the day. So, give me your thoughts on this one. Pitt advances.
Pitt advances 59-41. Did you know they jumped out to a 21-2 lead to start this thing?
Woof.
That's why they won. Jumped out to a 20, I believe it was like a 20 or a 21-2 lead at the start. I mean, Pitt exploded out of the gate and they took it to Iowa State. Big win for them. And I'll tell you, MF, I'm not even mad at this because of the fact that, let's not forget, yes, Pittsburgh may be in the ACC now, but where were they before?
They were actually originally in the Big East.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And they did. And they went on to win a Big East tournament championship or two. So, yeah. So in a sense, we have, an almost a Big East matchup. We got another ACC Big East matchup coming up here. Pittsburgh against Xavier. That's going to be a good one on Sunday. I can't wait to have that one. Xavier now with the Big East, and Pittsburgh, formerly of the Big East, now into the ACC. And, I miss Pitt, but I can't be too upset because, we got UConn back. So I'm very pleased about that for the Big East. But great win for Pittsburgh, and they move on. Pittsburgh and Xavier on Sunday. It's going to be a good one. So with that, MF, let's continue on, and I'll chime in when we get to my next game.
All right. The next one that we will get into was Creighton. Creighton rolls in, knocking off NC State by the final score of 72-63. Competitive matchup for the most part, but then Creighton kind of started flexing their muscle right towards the end and kind of started pulling away, and that was it. Creighton moves on to the next round. Speaking of the UConn having no problems with Iona, winning their game 87-63, and UConn moves on to the next round of the tournament. And now, the stunner of them all, for the second time in NCAA men's college basketball history, a 16 has knocked off a 1. Fairleigh Dickinson has upended and knocked out the Purdue Boilermakers 63-58 the final. Anthony Florio, this is without a doubt, like we said, we only had one other upset, and we were here a few years ago on the show when that moment happened. We weren't here together for this one, but let me tell you, the ramifications and the reaction of this upset is being felt throughout the country. Fairleigh Dickinson, only the second 16 seed in the men's game, third team in the history of the NCAA tournament, men's or women's, to pull off the monumental upset.
It happened once in the women's game. That was in 1998 when it was Harvard, when they upset Stanford in 98. Still to this day, the biggest upset in the history of the women's tournament. But I would probably consider this the second biggest. That UMBC one, it was only because the only reason why UMBC over Virginia is the biggest to this day is because of the fact that Virginia in that tournament in 2018 was the number 1 overall seed, and they beat them decisively. They managed.
Yeah, it was a blowout. I think it was like double digits. Yeah, 20 point beatdown.
74-54. But there was an old AEW tag team called SCU, and I'm going to have some fun with their theme song. A little fun on that right here. FDU. Yeah, you got to love FDU, boys. FDU. Put some respect on the name of Fairleigh Dickinson. Those boys earned it, and they contained Zach Edey, who was the star player of Purdue, one of the best in the game today, and busted a lot of brackets. I'll be honest, I believe I had Purdue as one of my Final Four teams, and they're gone. But that's all. That's as far as I had them going. I didn't have them going to the title game. I had them losing to Bama in the Final Four games. So I don't have to feel too bad about this one. But well, congratulations to Fairleigh Dickinson out of the Northeast Conference, and has not been a good couple of years for Purdue, because Purdue, they lost to a 15 last year, I believe, in the second round when they lost to St. Peter's. St. Peter's was the darling of last year's tournament, and Fairleigh Dickinson, I believe, has now just become the darling of this year's tournament, and they're going to be squaring off against the winner of the game going on that's ongoing right now, between the number 8 seed Memphis and the number 9 seed Florida Atlantic, and it looks like that might be coming down to the wire. So we might have some bonus commentary on that one in just a little bit, but nonetheless, congratulations to Fairleigh Dickinson. Hell of a job. Enjoy it. The biggest win in school history, and now they're on to Sunday against either Florida Atlantic or Memphis. So we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But MF, I didn't think this. Houston. Let's not forget, last night Houston had a scare. Houston had a scare against Northern Kentucky, but somehow Houston woke up and did what Houston does, and they did what Houston's done all year, and that's, they turned on the burners and they finally were able to put Northern Kentucky away. They only won by 11. Bama and Kansas had no trouble in their games, but boy howdy, Purdue. I think they took these FDU boys a little bit lightly, but the FDU coach, after they won the first 4 game on Wednesday night, he made a bold prediction saying that he thought his team could beat Purdue. Guess what? He was right. So props to you, Coach. That's all I'm going to say. Props to Coach Anderson, Tobin Anderson, I believe his name. And nothing more to say except FDU, the Knights of FDU, are giant killers on this night.
They are indeed. And they shocked the college basketball world yet again. They shocked the world. And unfortunately for all those brackets out there, there are no brackets anymore. Everyone, 20 million, that was on ESPN. There was like 15 million on Yahoo. So many different brackets across the country, destroyed, annihilated, busted. As they would say, there are no more perfect brackets. The FDU, the Fairleigh Dickinson, was the dagger for everybody. Everybody did not have that one, and now everybody is singing the blues tonight. But hey, the only school that's not is Fairleigh Dickinson. They must be beside themselves, man. I don't know what to say, man. But hey, this is what March Madness is all about, ladies and gentlemen, and it doesn't get any better than this. Woo. All right, so let's go to the next game. Unfortunately, Anthony, we're going to need you on this one here because this was your game. The Providence College Friars versus the Kentucky Wildcats. This was one of the marquee matchups that we were talking about.
The marquee matchup of the first round.
The marquee matchup of the first round, for the most part, lived up to the hype. Yes, however, unfortunately, if you're a PC fan, not the outcome you want. 1 and out. 61-53. Kentucky advances to round 2 of the NCAA tournament. Anthony Florio, it is yours with your post-game thoughts on this one. Providence played valiantly, but too many offensive rebounds by Kentucky and too many clutch plays down the stretch doomed the Friars. And unfortunately, they're heading home tonight.
Yeah, and Ed Cooley talked about it. He said 50-50 rebounds or something like that. I remember he said something to that extent. But yeah, there was also some sloppy turnovers as well. Let's not forget that. And yes, the PC dream ends tonight. Bryce Hopkins going up against his former team that he played for last year. He didn't do much for Kentucky last year, but he only had 7 points on the night. Ed Croswell was the leading scorer with 16. Devin Carter chipped in 10. Bynum had 9. Lockey had 8. And Hopkins had 7 points and 8 rebounds, but not to be as Kentucky. It was Antonio Reeves who led the way with 22 points. MF Oscar Shibwe. I want you to remember that name, Shibwe. He may have only had 8 points, but he had 25 rebounds.
Yep.
I'm not kidding you. 25 rebounds. He alone was the difference maker for Kentucky in this game tonight. Without any of those 25 rebounds, who knows? Maybe we're talking about PC moving on. But Jacob Toppin also had 18 points as well. Reeves was the leading scorer with 22, but Oscar Shibwe was the player of the game for me, mainly because of those 25 rebounds. He made every one of those things count. And it was close and exciting in the early game. They were going back and forth. But then Kentucky was like, all right, enough of this. We got to get back to our roots. And that's exactly what Kentucky did. They played like a team that has won 8 national championships, second only to UCLA's 11. And they also wanted to get the taste of last year out of their mouths, because you remember they were the number 2 seed and they were the first victim of St. Peter's. St. Peter's beat them in round 1 last year. And John Calipari and company were like, yeah, we need to get that bad taste out of our mouth and get back to our roots. And that's exactly what they did tonight. And they played like all those great Kentucky teams that went on to win all those national championships in yesteryear. So big win for Kentucky. Congratulations to them. They deserve to be where they are. It sucks as a PC fan. I mean, this season had so much. It started so great, and then they sputtered down the stretch, losing 4 games in a row, including the final 2 games at the AMP this year, losing to Xavier, and then phoning it in against Seton Hall, and then a tough luck loss to UConn in the Big East tournament last week in the Garden, and then this tonight. And we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. But it was another great year. There were doubts about them being in this tournament. There were doubts. A lot of people thought maybe they were going to be NIT bound, but no. Somehow the committee gave them a chance, gave them an opportunity, and they did it against Kentucky. And when I saw this matchup, I was so excited, and I very easily could have covered the Columbus games, but I said, no, I want Greensboro, and I wanted it for this game alone. And for the most part, MF, yes, it did live up to the hype. Maybe not the outcome I wanted, but who cares, man? It was to say that I got to see PC and Kentucky battle it out. That was fun. So congrats, Kentucky. They're moving on. They move on to Sunday, and they will battle the winner of the game between number 3 seed Kansas State and number 14 seed Montana State, my final game of the night. And that'll be on Sunday as well. So congrats to Kentucky. PC fans, I know it's not the way we wanted it to end, but let's be grateful that we had another great season, another fun season. And, those guys had nothing to be ashamed of. They had another great year. Maybe not as great as last year, but it was still they were still a fun team to watch, and I have no reason to believe that this team won't be back in this thing next year. So not much more to say.
Quick question, Anthony, and I really want to get your thoughts about this because
sure,
you being a PC fan,
yes,
I know you've been hearing rumors about it because rumors started swirling as of today about Ed Cooley and him possibly going to Georgetown. What is your feeling about that? Do you think he's going to Georgetown, or do you feel like that he's going to want to run this back one more time with PC? What? Just your personal thoughts, because you're the Big East guy.
Yes,
you know Georgetown just fired Patrick Ewing.
Indeed, they did.
They did fire him. And now Ed Cooley's being linked as possibly the next head coach of that team. What is your thoughts about that?
First of all, that's news to me. I didn't hear that, but that would be a big loss for PC if he goes to Georgetown. I mean, Ed Cooley has brought prominence back to the PC name because before him, PC didn't really have all that much success, but since he got there, he took him to a Big East tournament championship in 2014, and then he took him to a Big East regular season championship last year, and they just got so much better. I mean, he ended up. I consider him the second best coach in the history of PC, only behind the late great Dave Gavitt. Gavitt was the most successful, and he got me excited about PC basketball again because I followed this team. I got into this team in 1997 when that was back when we were just starting junior high MF, and those guys, what did it for me was when, with all due respect, when they knocked off Duke in the second round in 1997, which is to this day I consider that their biggest win in school history. Anytime you can beat the Dukies, oh yeah, especially in their neck of the woods in Charlotte, oh yeah, that's forever going to be their biggest win. It's even bigger than those two Big East tournament titles in 95, in 94 and 14. Also bigger than the Big East regular season title from last year. And when they went on that epic run to the Elite Eight in 1997 before losing to eventual champion Arizona. And, they've had some good runs over they did have some, years. Had sporadic appearances in the tournament, occasional rarer tournament appearances here and there. But Ed Cooley has made this team so fun to watch again. I wasn't really having fun watching PC games. That was until Ed Cooley got there, and he made this team fun to watch again, and it got me excited about them again because I had lost faith in them, honestly. But he restored my faith in this team, and he's done so much for him. He's a pillar in the Rhode Island community. He's beloved in the Rhode Island community, and especially in Providence. And it would be a major detriment to Providence if Ed Cooley decides to leave and go to Georgetown. But make no mistake about it, if he does go to Georgetown and Georgetown comes to the AMP, he's going to get a hero's welcome. He will, because they just love him too much. He's so loved in this community, and he's a pillar in this community. And it would be very sad. It would be a sad day for PC basketball because, who is going to replicate the success that he has had over the last decade or so? I don't know. I really don't. But he's been there. I believe he's been there 12 years now, and he's taken them to the tournament 7 of those 12 years, including those magical years of 2014 when he led them to the Big East tournament title, and then last year when they won the regular season title. So, he is a folk hero in these parts, and well, I can't tell him what to do. Me personally, my selfish wish is that he stays at least one more year. But if he wants to, broaden his horizons and go to Georgetown, whatever's best. At the end of the day, we all do what's best for our families. And he is a family man, just like I am, and like you are, MF, and of course Bullock is as well. But it's ultimately what's it's on his heart. Whatever the Lord puts on his heart, or whatever he puts on his heart to do. I mean, do I want him to stay? Hell yeah, I want him to stay. I damn sure want him to stay. I don't want him to ever leave, honestly, because he has done so much for this team and has restored my faith in him. But if he leaves and goes to Georgetown, I mean, I'll have to deal with it. I'll have to live with it. I'll have to accept it, and I will accept it if it happens. But I hope it doesn't. But it is what it is. But if whether it is his last year or not, I definitely do want to say to Ed Cooley, on behalf of Friar Nation, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and most of all, thank you, Ed Cooley, for restoring my faith in this team and making this team fun to watch again for the first time in so many years. And we'll never forget what you did for us, man. Never. So I hope you stay, but if you want to go to Georgetown, hey, whatever's best for you, go do you. Let's move on.
All right, we will indeed. And we're going to go pretty quickly because we got some bonus commentary coming in just a matter of moments. We got, right now we had was Gonzaga winning their game over Grand Canyon. They won it 82-70. And we had Miami holding on, had a major scare against Drake, but they won their game 63-56. Games in progress right now. FAU currently holds a 1-point lead, 64-63. The game is going on. We are under 1 minute left in the game. We might even have another bonus commentary moment in a matter of minutes. Anthony is doing this one right now. Kansas State versus Montana State, 60-52. Kansas State leading 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. We also have another near scare that's going on True TV with 9:39 remaining in the second half. Arizona State up 54-51 on TCU. And then on TBS, this one is in halftime right now, as it is Indiana ahead of Kent State 35-27. Just a quick little update just to give you guys up. Memphis has now taken the lead on Florida Atlantic 65-64 with 34 seconds left in the game. So we got that going on. Just to give you a quick little update before we get into bonus commentary. Matches for tomorrow. Starting at 12:10, we got San Diego State going up against Furman. Of course, Furman getting one of the two big upsets yesterday. At 2:40 Eastern Time, Duke will go up against Tennessee. And then at 5:15, we have is number 1 Kansas. They're going up against Arkansas, the number 8 seed. And then at 6:10 on TNT, Princeton, who got one of the big upsets, they go up against Missouri. And then at 7:10 on TBS, it'll be Auburn going up against Houston. 7:45 tomorrow on CBS. Penn State goes up against Texas. 8:40 on and then on 8:40 on TNT, Northwestern versus UCLA. And the final game of the day, it will be Maryland versus Alabama from Birmingham. All right. So with that said, we're just going to give quick little bonus commentary. 30 seconds left. When we have for Florida Atlantic and Memphis, Florida Atlantic trying to get an opportunity, drives the lane, no rebound. And Memphis has it, foul on the play with 19.8 left in the game. Oh my. So, Memphis will have 2 shots coming up, and they will get an opportunity to make this a 2-possession game, or at least a 3-point lead. All right, here we go. Now, actually, no, this is only their 16th foul, so they got to get one more foul before you go into a 1-and-1. But now they're pulling a substitution as McFadden is now out of the game. Now they just got to find somebody trying to kick it out and trying to make a quick play here. They're just trying to dribble this one. Got to get it. Oh, it's a turnover, a breakaway. Here comes Florida Atlantic. He falls, tripped, 4 seconds. And what we got? Jump ball. Jump ball possession arrow goes to Florida Atlantic. Memphis was trying to get a timeout. However, the timeout never happened. And now they do get the timeout with 5 seconds left. Oh my goodness. FAU try to get a steal. They get it. And then he brings it up court, fumbles the basketball. And it was a major scrum. And you see, timeout, but it ended up being a tie-up. Oh, my goodness. Great play here. And then try to do too much. And we almost had Davis and Lomax from Memphis both yelling for the timeout, and they never got it. The referees never called the timeout. And Florida Atlantic now has a chance to win the game. There is no shot clock. The shot clock is dead. If there's a tie-up, the ball would go to Memphis on this next tie-up. Florida Atlantic now has a chance to win it and send Memphis home. Oh my goodness. What a way to finish this game. We got drama here. All right, here we go. 5.5 left on the clock. Florida Atlantic. Wait, timeout called. Who called it? Was it Memphis? Memphis called timeout. That's their last timeout. No more timeouts. They probably just wanted it a look to see what Florida Atlantic was doing. 3 lead changes in the last minute 23 of this game. And this is where we are right now. The game reset. My goodness. What a way to finish this, folks. 5 seconds left. Memphis now has a chance to try to get it out of here. Here we go. We have on the court Greenlee, Golden, Boyd, Davis, and Martin. And for Memphis, Hardaway, Good, McCaden, Lawson, and he got it. Trying to drive. Goes down the lane, and he got it! 2.5 left. Memphis, for the miracle, for the win. It's rejected. Game over. Florida Atlantic wins it. And they move on to round 2. Oh, my. What a game.
First NCAA tournament win for Florida Atlantic. They now go on against the Giant Killers. They get Fairleigh Dickinson on Sunday.
My goodness, what a way to end it. What a game, to say the very least.
What a time to be alive, huh?
Great drive down the lane.
This is what you live for.
And he makes the play as it was Boyd just exploding to the bucket, getting the layup right in the middle. He scores. And then you had to hold on to the D. They made the right play. A key block and the celebration is on. Florida Atlantic knocks out Memphis. The Memphis Tigers fall, and even even before the block, the buzzer had already sounded, so there was no way they were going to get it in time. And it is all over. The Memphis Tigers are going home, and the Florida Atlantic wins the game, and they advance to round 2 of the NCAA tournament. Oh, my goodness. All right. Quick update before we get on out of here. Kansas State currently holds a 10-point lead now. Actually, no, even bigger now. So it's now an 11-point lead, 70-59 with 2:16 remaining in the second half. The other game that we're keeping a closer eye on, Arizona State is currently leading TCU 59-54. Indiana currently has a pretty sizable lead, 45-31, with about 16 minutes remaining in the second half. All right, the games that we were talking about, going for tomorrow. Well, where was I? Did I get all the games for tomorrow? Yes, I did. All right.
Yes.
For Sunday, it will be Baylor versus Creighton. It will be Fairleigh Dickinson and, like you said, Florida Atlantic. The winner of the Montana State versus K-State will play Kentucky. Marquette will go up against Michigan State. The winner of the Kent State versus Indiana game, right now that is Indiana, they will play Miami. We'll also have Xavier versus Pitt, UConn versus St. Mary. The winner of the Arizona State and TCU game will play Gonzaga. And that will be for Sunday. So that will be all your games for the second round. So with that said, guys, we're going to get on out of here. Anthony Floyo, thank you as always. And thank you guys for staying up late for us tonight. On Monday, we do it all over again with Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio, as he'll be doing Monday Night Raw, and we'll be doing his usual sting, Impact Wrestling and NXT Level Up. On Wednesday is another edition of Wednesday Night Madness, as we'll be doing, of course, AEW and NXT. And as far as AEW goes, major announcement going down today. Anthony, this is a big fight, a dream match. Kenny Omega going one-on-one with Triple A Mega Campeón de Físico Completo, El Hijo de Fequino. That's right. That has been confirmed. El Hijo de Fequino versus Kenny Omega, one-on-one on Dynamite. Oh my God, what a fight that's going to be. And then Thursday is another edition of TXN Sports World. We got the XFL. We're going to have more coverage of this NCAA tournament. And we might
Classic.
The finals of the World Baseball Classic, everything leading up to the championship, and gets the preview of the Major League Baseball season. We'll finally get into it, going division by division, who we think is going to win it all, and possibly who might be the World Series champion when it's all said and done. So we'll do that 10:30 on Thursday, and then 1 week from tonight, we do another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, and we might end up doing this format again, which is Smackdown.
AEW Rampage is going to be on Saturday night next week.
Yes, so we're going to do another result thing here, and then, like we said, AEW Rampage will be on Saturday, but we will not cover it at all. So, guys, we're on out of here. So, for Anthony Floyo, I'm Michael Fletcher saying so long, everybody, and we'll see you on Monday.